So good to see you again. Now, let's start this conversation with your Osun State's Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal. What is your view about the judgment, and will you say it is grounded in law?
Well, thank you very much. The moment the judgment was pronounced today, I made effort to get a copy of the judgment and then read through it. And I can tell you confidently that the judgment is sound in the interpretation of the law and the evaluation of the evidence. The basic thing about the judgment is all about the beavers that Section 47 of the Electoral Act has virtually legislated into existence. So for all those who believe in the beavers, for all those who have been saying that the beavers will clean up our electoral system, this is one of the results of the cleanup of our electoral system. And so they must respect the judgment along that line. What happened was very simple. The moment the election was over, the APC was smart enough to quickly apply for the beavers record of every polling unit of that election. So the beavers record will be like what you have, like a printout, like what you have an account printout of a bank. So showing every unit and the score of every unit. They quickly made a certified true copy of that beavers record. And after they made a certified true copy of the beavers record, they filed their action in court, relying on that beavers record upon which Ademola Adeleke was declared governor of Osun State. After that, pleadings were exchanged. The PDP, now after about a month of filing the election petition, INEC came up with another beavers report, obviously different from the one they had earlier certified. There's some noise coming in. I can't hear.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
I can't hear.
So, Keyamo, please go ahead with your submission. You can go ahead with your submission, Mr. Keyamo.
Some interference. I can't hear.
Mr. Keyamo, you can go ahead with your submission.
INEC now presented another beavers report that was substantially different from the first beavers report. And from the first beavers report, you could see that 749 polling units were affected in 10 local government areas. I think the two other local governments in Lesha, Osogbo, and on like that. They were substantially different. So you see at times where the beavers accredited 50 persons, you will see 80 persons voted, more than the figures accredited by beavers. And the law is very clear, according to Section 47 of the Electoral Act, that once this happens, that is what they call overvoting, and that particular polling unit must be cancelled. And so this affected 749 polling units across 10 local governments of Osun State. So it was a straightforward issue that they had to cancel all of those, polling units. And by the time they canceled the polling units, Ademola Adeleke's figures came up to 290,000. And of course, Oyetola's figures came up to about 314,000. That means, of course, that the PDP stole about more than 100,000 votes of the Osun people, votes that came from nowhere. And so it was not difficult at all for the tribunal to come to the conclusion that there was overvoting in 749 local units, and they had to deduct those votes from the votes that were declared by INEC. And then the point that was made, I must make this point, that INEC was insisting that the second beavers report they brought, that was the one that they properly synchronized that they had to do cleanup and all that after the election. And so the second people's report that they made, obviously that second people's report was doctored to frustrate the pleadings that were already in court. So the tribunal came to the conclusion that that was evidence that was made during the pendency of the case in court. And by law, when you manufacture evidence during the pendency of a case in court, that evidence will be rejected by the courts.
All right, going by your earlier submission, what is the implication of this judgment for the polity and the coming elections?
Well, the implication is simply that for those who are planning to rig elections, who are planning to falsify figures, they should know that they're actually hurting themselves. It is better now that you allow your true figures to be reflected in Form EC8A. Because what happened was that when they went through every single unit as recorded in Beavers and the EC8As, there was overvoting and discrepancy in 749 units. The law is very clear now. Once it exceeds the figures as captured by the Beavers, once it exceeds those figures, automatically that unit is cancelled. There is no question of trying to deduct the overvoting figures and all that. No, they will just cancel the entire unit. So it is a lesson to riggers. It's a lesson to those who do not want to come to terms with our new electoral process, that right now our electoral process is cleaner and better. And you can see that 100,000 votes were stolen by a candidate who was declared governor of a state. I can say that confidently now because I'm quoting from the judgment of a court. It's a finding of fact. 100 and something votes were stolen to cheat the people of Osun State. So that's the point now. We must continue to play the game as prescribed by law. I don't want to say too much about the dissenting judgment, but let me just, for 10 seconds, brief the public about what the dissenting judgment says. The single dissenting judgment simply says that they should have relied on the electoral, the register of voters. But our contention is that Section 47 has done away with the old register of voters. That, of course, has been replaced by the Beavers now, because that is the basis for accreditation now. The old register is no longer the basis for accreditation of voters.